everybody, welcome back to another exhilarating episode of Talking Cardboard. I'm here with the usual cast, and this time we get to go over one of our, spoiler alert, one of our favorite games, Blood Rage. As always, we've got our regular crew here, Kayla on my far left, we've got Corey, John is to my right, and I'm Brian. So as always, Corey's going to give you a rundown on the basic mechanics of this game.
Hey everybody, and here we have Blood Rage set up for a game for 4 players. So Blood Rage is a game for 2 to 4 players. With one of the expansions you can extend it to 5 players. It is a game designed by Eric Lang from publisher Cool Mini or Not. Came out a few years back. And so here we have a 4-player game set up. The first thing you do in a 4-player game is decide randomly with Ragnarok which province starts off under lava. So it constricts the board a little bit here. So you've got, I'll show you here, a bunch of different provinces with the Yggdrasil in the middle, and that is what the board looks like. At the heart of this game, it is an area control game where you try to score the most victory points by the end of the game to win. Okay, so here we have the main board with Valhalla, where the dead figures go after they die, and a player board example here as well. So at the heart of this game, it goes through 3 ages, starting with the first age, working your way down to the 3rd age. You have a deck of cards that will be drafted in each age, and they get better. The cards get better as you go throughout the ages. So the first thing you do is you deal out all the cards to all the players, and they draft a hand of 8 cards. After each player they take one, they pass the deck around the table to the next player, and as it comes back around to you, you draw additional cards until you have a hand of 8, and then the game begins. So it would go into the action phase. So how the game works here is you see a player board. You've got a token for rage, token for axes, and a token for horns. What those do is rage is like your income in the game. You start off the game with 6 rage, so we've got our token here on 6 rage, and you can spend rage to do various actions throughout the game. Axes tell you how many victory points or how much glory you get for winning battles. So you start off the game with winning 3 victory points per battle, and then horns tells you the amount of figures you are allowed to have on the board. So you start off the game with allowing a maximum of 4 figures to be placed on the board. Going through the different cards here real quick, you've got combat cards, which add either different actions or effects to the battle when you are battling in a province. You've got quest cards, which get you have different win conditions for getting the victory points by the end of each round, and you've got the victory point there. You've got different monsters you can build, and so on and so forth. Some higher attack cards. And to start off each round, you've got your rage you can spend on various actions. All the actions are listed below here on your player board, starting with the first one, invade. To invade, you look at the strength of whichever figure you'd like to invade with. For example, a warrior's strength is 1, and you would pay that much rage to invade on any outer province with your figure. They can invade these small circular towns here on one of the outer provinces. You cannot invade straight to Yggdrasil. We will get into that in a future turn, but you can, for example, invade there for 1 rage. On a future turn, if you'd like to invade with another warrior figure, it would cost another rage to do so. The next action here is march. To march, you can take any amount of your figures from one province and march to any other province on the board, including Yggdrasil. That is how you move your figures to the center of the board by marching. That is one of the only ways you can move to the center of the board. The next available action is upgrade. You can take an upgrade card from your hand, pay its associated rage. So for example, this cost 2 for this monster upgrade. So I could pay 2 rage, place it in my monster upgrade slot, and then find the associated monster. This is just an example of one of them here. That's not the correct one. You've got some smaller heroes and monsters too. But you take the associated monster that is depicted on your card and then place it on the board, doing its effect that is stated on the card. So that is upgrading. You can upgrade monsters, you can upgrade your clan, you can do upgrades to your leader and to your warriors. So there are many different upgrade cards. For example, this is a warrior upgrade that you can do if you have drafted it earlier in your turn. The next action you can do is quest. You simply take a quest that you think you can complete by the end of the round, and you place it face down anywhere on your board. Usually we place it above the house symbol there. And then at the end of the round, if you complete what is stated on the card, you get the number of victory points that is shown on the card there. And that is how you play a quest. Those are free. The last action you can do is pillage. So pillaging is a little bit unique. You've got, for example, figures in provinces like such. To pillage, you are stating that you would like to go after the symbol that is in the middle of the province. For example, it is the rage symbol. Any adjacent figures of other clans can then at that time in turn order around the table choose to pull their figures into your province to fight with you, to try to prevent you from pillaging the town. As each town gets filled up, for example, if these were other player colors and they filled up the other 2 remaining cities in that province, then that province would then be full, and then no other players can bring their figures into that province to prevent you from pillaging. So how pillaging works is the number of figures that are in that province, you add up their total strength. So I've got a warrior and my leader. Warriors have 1 strength, my leader has 3 strength. So I have a total of 4. And I combat against any other figures from other clans that had chose to come over to prevent me from pillaging. By doing that, you choose 1 battle card from your hand. So for example, let's say I wanted to use this Tyre's Smite. Tyre's Smite says +5 to combat. Combat cards are red. I could then secretly choose this Tyre's Smite to play face down. And then after all players have played their combat card face down, you don't have to. I mean, you could essentially bluff using a non-combat card too. But I had chosen this +5 combat to play. So after all players have chosen their combat cards, you simultaneously flip them over and add that value to the strength of your figures in that province. So I've got 3, 4, 3 for the leader, 1 for the warrior, so it's a total of 4, plus my 5 combat strength for a total of 9. If that 9 is higher than any other clan in that province, I successfully pillage. So I would flip the pillage tile over and take 1. I would upgrade that that stat by 1. So for future rounds, I would now have 7 rage to use rather than 6 like previously. Anybody who does lose the battle in that province, they take their figures and they place them in Valhalla. There are low-key cards and other various cards that get you points for dying in battle, a glorious death, and that would get you points for them going to Valhalla. You also get some cards, you get points as you release them from your figures from Valhalla after death too. So dying in this game isn't necessarily a bad thing like other games may be. It could be part of your strategy, going after getting as many points as possible through dying or through coming back from Valhalla. After all players have gone down to 0 rage, that round is over. You go through the age phases here, so everybody then discards down to 1 card in their hand. They choose whichever one they'd like to keep for a future turn and discard the rest. You would activate your quest cards. So any of the quests you had face down on your player board, if you completed those successfully, you'd get victory points equal to the amount of points on the quests. So everybody does that. And then you go to the Ragnarok phase. So the next Ragnarok phase to plunder is Merklore. And you find that on the board. You destroy that province, and any figures that were in that province that was destroyed by Ragnarok, you get 2 points for each figure destroyed during Ragnarok. So that's kind of a neat thing too. And at the end, you release Valhalla. So all the figures come back to your player board, including your leader, any monsters. If you had a ship out, I'll explain that quickly. Ships can be placed in provinces, and those add 2 strength to both of the provinces they are adjacent to, so that's a real neat mechanism as well. And after the end of the 3rd age, the game is over, and whoever has the most victory points is the winner. All right, let's get back to the table and hear our final thoughts on this.
This is going to be one of our favorite reviews we've done so far. So Corey, you're the owner of this game. Let's kick it off.
Yeah, definitely. Like Brian said, this is kind of spoiler alert. This is one of our favorite games that we've played in some time. It's got awesome minis, awesome theme. A lot of card drafting going on too, which is definitely beloved by, I believe, all 4 of us. So that is one of the first pros I'd like to kind of touch up on, is how we all felt about the card drafting. I know there are a lot of card drafting games out there. This one I feel has a little bit of a unique twist to it, where you've got these little cards that actually have different actions, different monsters that you can summon, different characters. But like this game with the card drafting, it has a lot of different options with the cards. How'd you guys feel on that?
Completely agree. Kaylor, what do you think?
I really like that this is a really small map, so there's a lot of competition with everybody on it. There's a lot of battling, and in most games when your guy dies, it's a bad thing. In this game, it can actually get you points based off of the cards that you draft and you play. So it really adds a really fun theme to this game.
So even if you're bad, you could still be scoring points because you're sending all your figures to Valhalla.
Yep,
Absolutely.
exactly.
And as the Master of Chaos, John, what are the strategies that you like to employ in this game?
The last few times I've played, I have gone along the lines of letting my people die and trying to get bonuses from that.
Not a surprise.
You can raise your stats. You just get into a lot of fights, and one card I held on to allowed me to steal rage from everyone when I lost battles against them. So it allowed me to do more in a turn, and what made my opponents think more closely about fighting in battles I was involved in.
And ironically, you were stealing our rage in the game, but giving us more rage
Yes,
as players.
exactly. Yes. Which I
didn't want to attack.
Good at.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That actually seemed to work out fairly well for you too, didn't it?
Yeah,
With
until the
whole-
last round, there just wasn't enough to do since things got pillaged out so quickly. I found myself with too much rage.
Kind of cornered yourself in.
Yep.
But there's nice because there's also cards that'll counterdict his card. So if he had played it properly, we could have got his card out a lot earlier in the game. But
And there are so
we're
many
not able to.
strategies that can work against each other at the same time. It's not an asymmetrical game, but I usually find myself waiting until the end of the 3rd round to really make my move. And that's when I get the double multipliers for all the quests and stuff like that. So in one of our games, I ended up scoring almost 100 points in the 3rd round alone because I wait in the weeds and then I catch them all at the end. And it doesn't always work, but it's a much different strategy than a lot of the other guys employ.
And I feel like that's a part of a lot of the fun in the game too, is figuring out the cool card combinations, making them work for one another. And you can have those huge turns, those huge rounds where you just come out hitting, where all game long you're at 20, 30 points, and then all in one round you've got over 100, usually that final round with the really good cards.
Unless you're Kaylor, then you just
unless you're Kaylor.
sit at 30 points and lose.
And you end with 30 points.
You're at 28 round 1 and 29 round 2 if you're Kaylor. But and then the variable, you know, you were talking about how it isn't asymmetrical at all. All the factions are the same, but at the same time, the variable powers that you get with these different card combos make it feel so different. Each and every round, each and every player. We'll touch up on this later too, but the replayability plays a factor in that, I feel, as well, where each time you play this game, you'll feel like a different person.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and everybody has the same chance at all of the cards, all of the strategies, playing style, except for, you know, when you're dealt the first hand that you can choose the first card from, you're the only one that gets a shot at it. But after that, you get to see everybody has a chance at these cards, and you know what you're passing off to some person, and by the time it gets back to you, you realize, oh, somebody's doing this in this combination, oh, how am I going to be able to work with that? It's just so many different levels. And then when you're placing the figures on the boards, a lot of these regions are very finite and small, so then you can box each other out that way. I know, Kaylor, you tend to do a lot of that.
Yeah.
To somebody in particular. I'm not going to name any names, but yeah, it's just there's so many ways you can mess with each other in this game.
Absolutely.
Do we have any negatives? John, what do you think is a negative about this game?
I struggled really hard to think of anything, so I'm not sure if you guys have anything. I think the only thing I could think of that might make this game a little more interesting if you play it a lot is having, like, if they would have come out with expansions that added, like, upgrade cards or something, but
Yeah.
other than that, I don't know. Everything plays pretty smoothly, and it's a very enjoyable game.
Well, Corey, do you want to touch on the expansions that they have?
Yeah, so they do have 2 expansions out. One of them adds more monsters. Another one adds some gods to the game. The monsters adds a little bit of flexibility with the different characters you can draft to be a part of your own clan. The gods change up a couple of the provinces throughout the game, where if you march into there or you invade into those provinces, it changes up the ruling of the game a little bit when you're in those zones. So that changes up the gameplay a little bit. I personally don't have those expansions. The only expansion I have is the 5th player expansion, which I find is real cool to have too. A lot of times games get bogged down when you have more players than maybe 3 or 4, but at 5 players I feel like the pace is just about the same as having it at 4. So it definitely moves along at a good clip that way. I would say my only con that I can think of is that the text in the game, the graphic design of the text is real hard to see, so it's a little bit hard to know the name of the provinces before you enter there. Not a big deal. You can just point where you're going.
Well, and even building off of that, my one con for this game is pronouncing the dark places.
It's Norse mythology.
Yeah.
I understand
that way.
And I'm a little Norse, but that does not translate. So the ways that we're pronouncing these is probably completely incorrect.
For sure.
Yeah.
But as long as we know which places we're talking about, that blue one,
Yes.
and that works.
And it's nice because the region are also color coded, so you don't have to exactly know which one you're going for.
Right.
And everything. And one thing I really did like about this, I want to touch on a little more, is the map slowly shrinks as it goes through.
Yeah.
When you play a 5-player game, you play with the entire map, and with 4-player, they take out one of the regions at the very beginning. So it puts a lot of competition on everybody to fight over
It
all the
scales
resources.
very well.
Yeah, exactly.
If we want to touch upon skill and
yeah,
luck.
I think there's actually a pretty high level of skill to this game, knowing when to invade, when to pillage, what cards you're drafting, and how all that comes together, and then thinking about what pieces are going to be left on the board after each round. I mean, that can have a big impact. Like, one game, you had a guy left in Yggdrasil, and it was your giant who was 4 power, and no one else really had anything on the board, so your first turn you can just pillage that and get the most benefit of the most powerful space in the game.
But I didn't. I tied with somebody,
Yeah.
and then we lost all of our figures.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So there is some...
And you got your 4 guys in Valhalla, and you got your bonus points. So are you really going to bring
always some
So
risk.
you are welcome, yeah, I guess, on Kaler's part.
The other thing we didn't talk about was the player board that you get. So you have a player board with your upgrade cards and your rage, your your player points, and your amount of troops you get. And as the game progresses through, you continue with the same points that you have. So you want to strategize over the 3 rounds to get your points up, so then at that last round you get as many troops, as much rage, do as many actions as you want, and as many game points when you do actions and win victories.
Now, I know we could gush over this game for hours, so let's let people get it for themselves. So we're going to go through some of our analysis, our rankings on this. What do we think is the replayability? Does anybody want to say anything other than high?
No, I think high is...
I definitely think it's a high
it's high.
replayability.
We play it all the time. We love it.
Yeah.
Depth or weight of the game, Kaler, how...
I gave it a medium depth. It's really not too complicated. I mean, I as the one who have kids here, definitely couldn't teach it to my younger kids, but I think my 13-year-old would definitely grasp it. So that's kind of my gauge for how depth or weight it is. Just go by his range.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, well, good. I mean, we're on the same
agree.
page for a lot of this. Teachability, how easy is it to teach and learn this game? Corey, you're the one who teaches us all the games.
I think high teachability. Everything is laid out nicely on the player board. Like Kaylor had said, it's a very nice player board. It has your tokens out there that tells you exactly what you start with. Your rage amount. Rage is basically like monetary value in this game, like money in other games. And how many points you get for winning battles and that sort of thing is laid out nicely. Other than that, you're drafting cards and you're playing with what you have in your hand. Very easy to teach. You basically just either spend rage or play a card and do what the card says.
Yeah. And I think for the most part, the cards are very straightforward in what they do. Like, there was no card I think I've seen where I've been like, what does this do?
Where you have to look at the rule book or anything.
I mean, we had it come up once in like the last 4 times we've played.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let's just go down the line of rating 1 through 10. 1 is, I can't believe we're wasting this airtime. And 10 is, this is our favorite. So John, what do you think?
I'm sitting at a 10.
Yeah, same thing, 10.
10 out of 10 for me too.
I gave it just an 8 out of 10. I really do love this game.
Debbie Downer.
Yes, I got to bring it down a little bit, but it is a really fun game.
So
definitely
8 is in the number of points that you score?
That's pretty much it, yes.
Per round at least.
Per round, yeah, you get 24 or so every time.
I still love this game. This is probably the highest rate I've given a game we've done, 8.
Yeah.
So it's a great game.
You did give a 9 to Zombicide Black Plague.
Okay.
Yeah, what's the difference there? Just the theme? Is that what?
Yeah, I think it's the theme is the only difference why I gave 1 mark, because I do love zombies. I do have kids, and they love to play zombies also.
So if this had Blood Rage killing zombies in the subtitle,
then it would be an 11.
Zombie expansion. We're doing a zombie expansion.
Yes.
So I mean, obviously, you can tell by this. We all buy it.
Yep.
Have somebody in your game group buy it. It's easy to learn. The art is fantastic. The miniatures are really cool. The only problem is sometimes you have to paint them. So if you want to paint our set, it'd be awesome.
You don't have to, but it would look really cool.
Yeah. So it's a great game all the way around. So I mean, from us at Talking Cardboard, we say go out and buy this game.
Yes.
Yes.
Please. Until next time, we'll see you later.